Hello, welcome back to the CodeMaven Docker course. My name is Gabor Sabo. In this episode, we are going to ask the question why to use Docker at all. So remember, this is the place where you can find the slides. I'm jumping there directly to the page where we are discussing. So why use Docker? One of the biggest problems that software development encounters is the different types of environments where we run our software. So there are the developers who run on they develop the application in some desktop system, which is usually either Windows or Mac, sometimes Linux, but usually it's either Windows or Mac. And then there might be some QA people who are checking the software quality assurance, and they might install it in some environment which might resemble more the actually production environment, but it's still different from the production environment, which is probably some Linux server somewhere in the cloud, which has different capabilities. The operating system is different, of course. The computers have different capabilities, different rights. You have different rights to transfer data and so on. So these differences make it really hard to make sure that the software that was running on the developer's machine will actually behave well on the production server as well. In addition, there is what we usually call the dependency health. So an application depends on something, and then another part of the application depends on the same thing, but might depend on a different version of that thing. So there's a common library, let's say. How can you run the same these two parts of the application on the very same server? So this issue is really difficult. So one of the problems, one of the solutions, of course, is to force everyone to use the exact same version, but that usually means that people use the old version of something. So a much better way is to use some kind of a virtualization like Docker that allows us to separate the various parts of the application, and each application can declare and use its own dependencies and can move forward with the dependencies as they feel fit, as at they speed. So that's another thing. And the third thing that's really hard in many development companies or many companies is what we call onboarding of new employees, new developers. In a reasonably large application, to set up an environment, a development environment, might take days or weeks even, and it might have been documented. Maybe people need to go around and ask other people how to set up things, and usually most of the people who get in these companies, they will have a long time, maybe months or years, till they figure out all kind of issues that don't work on their environment, and because they didn't set it up the way should have been set up or the way others set up. Docker or in general virtualization can help us solve all of these problems. So also the question of onboarding. So Docker and in general containerization, but or virtualization, but specifically Docker can allow us to create a standard environment in which we develop the code, check the code, the quality assurance, and deploy the code. And then the differences, well, they won't disappear, but they will be much smaller. The same with onboarding people. So once we have a standardized environment, we can run it on it. We can just tell the people, okay, just download this standardized environment and run it. They'll still have plenty of things to set up, maybe the editor or IDE or all kind of other things, but at least they don't have to waste so much time and energy by setting up their environment. So that's about the why Docker, and we can go on now, try to figure out what Docker is.